This is the latest edition of Front Up, and I'm Whitey Willauer, and I've got a great guest here today, Sally Nash. Sally, how are you?
I'm just fine, thank you.
You going to admit that I'm your brother?
Well, it depends what you say next.
I see. Sally, what I'm interested in today is about daffodils. I gather you're the world's expert on daffodils, or what are you?
I'm not an expert on anything, but I do enjoy them a lot. I'm very much involved with the American Daffodil Society. I'm their secretary and have been for 6, coming on 7 years. So I get to see what's going on, and they've done some very interesting work in the field of daffodils.
Is a lot of it going on here, or are we just an outcropping of the whole daffodil world?
We're just a small part of it, but we have a lot of attention across the country because we've done particularly well with the youth, the students in the school system, and we're very proud of it. And I've just gotten Mary Malaves to go on as the youth chairman, so we're going to be getting a lot of concentration on trying to bring along our young people through the school system and through our daffodil show.
Now, daffodil just a flower.
That's all it is. It's a wonderful flower, and it has a lot of history to it. And then we record them or register them through the Royal Horticultural Society, and there are thousands and thousands of them.
Different kinds of?
Different kinds, different varieties, yeah. Different cultivars, and they're hybridized just the way you would.
What's a hybridized?
It's a cross.
Oh, hybrid.
Hybrid.
I see.
Not a mongrel, but a cross.
I see.
And so we could take a species and cross it and get a hybrid, or whatever the breeders today are doing. And it's like dogs and cats and horses and everything else, and we think we can perfect it. But there are a few strains that are used for the breeding that are sort of the backbone or the history of it. Anyway. I would just love to point out that Nantucket is doing a beautiful job in particularly with the youth, but at their show, the Nantucket Garden Club has sponsored it for 25, whatever it is, 30 years, I should know exactly. But Flint Ranney and Jean McCausland partnered to get the wonderful parade of the antique cars. And then Jean was very interested in having Nantucket fully planted with daffodils.
Did she plant all of those daffodils all over the place? Or?
Well, she very cleverly gave little bundles of them to children, school children, and mothers and fathers and everybody else, and they went out and they planted them. The only trouble we're having, and I point that out, is when you go along the Milestone Road. I remember David Goodman complaining because they were all in the bushes. Well, the reason why is that DPW plows them down or cuts them down before they're able to refurbish themselves, which means that the bulb is fed by the leaves dying back, and if they're not allowed to do that, then the bulb gets weak, and so the ones that are there tend to be in towards the back, towards the brush.
Maybe you ought to talk to the new DPW director.
Well, I would love to put us both on. We'll to go to it. We also had them in the median at the airport, and again they were cut down, and so they're not doing as well.
So how long you got to leave them until they?
Absolutely, you've got to let them die back down, and that way they'll come back stronger. We have a perfect location for them, and we can grow. We can grow daffodils as well as anywhere in the country, and a lot of our judges come from.
So you got judges that come here?
Oh, yes, I'm chairman of the judges, and we have 11 off-Island judges coming, and I hope that we have daffodils for them, but it's going to be a very early season. Mine are already blooming, but what some of us do who are real fans of the daffodil is we will cut them maybe 2 weeks before a show, put them in, condition them and put them in the refrigerator so that we can keep them for a longer period.
Oh, so you freeze them?
No, we don't freeze them. Well, we could, I suppose, but what we really do is to try to extend that time that we can show them.
I see. So you're Okay, you're putting them on ice, so to speak.
Yes,
Yeah.
you just slow them down. So the first thing I do in the morning or during the night is to watch how low our temperatures go. And it's up at 60 before I left home, but this morning it was 37, I think. So I was very happy because they won't grow under 44 degrees.
Oh, okay. So if you can keep the temperature low,
Yes, so that we're
we do this
watching
with
that.
scallops too.
Yes, that's true. Any perishable
I see.
has to be kept that way. So anyway, I'm hoping the chamber is what sets the pace, of course, when the show will be, and so because of when the Daffodil Festival will be. So my big hope is that they will choose a weekend, which usually the last weekend in April, that has a full weekend in it. And Saturday and Sunday. However, it's as late as it can be this year, which does put us very late with a particularly warm spring across the country. All the other areas are having trouble with that too.
So when I asked the chamber the other night, why don't you move the daffodil thing earlier?
You are quite right. I think it would be wonderful for lots of reasons, but also, the other aspect of it is we're hoping that they'll pick a time when the school is in session, because we don't get as much participation when the children are on vacation.
So I'm curious about daffodils. I don't think I'll be doing it, but maybe some of our viewers would want to know a little bit more about growing daffodils. What can you recommend?
I recommend going to Bartlett's Farm on April the 14th. We're going to be running a workshop. We also run on exactly how to pick them, how to show them, arrange them for flower arranging, and also how to grow them, when to put them in. We give away a lot of bulbs. We have a planting fund. We give away a lot of bulbs, certainly to the children in the school system. And then we help them at the time when they should plant them, how they should plant them, and I would recommend doing that. Also, to come to the show, pick your daffodils, bring them out, and I have some wonderful judges who are there to help nervous entrants put their daffodils in and show them. Even you could do that.
Well, I'm generally not here.
That's a good excuse. You're also a sailor. Now that's a nice sport too. But I think that
maybe I'll put some daffodils on my boat.
I think that's a good idea. But anyway, they are, and we plant them in the fall. They come out at different times. I have, I think over 400 varieties, different varieties in my garden.
Really?
And one of the aims or goals is to have a wide range of their growing time. So my earliest ones are well out, and my later ones will be probably coming along 6 weeks afterwards. So it's a wonderful long season if you plant the early ones, the middle ones, and the late ones.
Beyond daffodils, what are the other things that you grow out at your home?
Well, we live in Pulpus, and so I like to have things that are sort of compatible with that area. In town gardens can be more formal. Mine is very informal. I love the shrubs and the other bulbs that come along in the spring, and those are so that one has a progression of what is blooming, and that way it gives a good range of what is available in Nantucket. And because I particularly grow daffodils because the deer don't eat them. And they don't eat them because if you were to take some of the sap from them, put them under a microscope, you'd see little tiny barbs, almost like porcupine quills. And a young deer might pull up one and get mad at it and pull up another because it's going to give it a burning taste in its mouth. So that's one reason. Tulips are candy for the deer, so I don't grow so many tulips. But there are a lot of bulbs and these heaths and heathers and all sorts of wonderful things that do very well that the deer don't like. To use a deer repellent is often very expensive, so it's better to have things that they're not going to eat.
Well, that's interesting. It's an anti-deer.
Not anti-deer, but the deer won't.
Oh, Linda Loring would kill you.
Well, no, she knows that they're not. I told her, well, she knows that they're not going to eat them. She loves daffodils, too.
Oh, okay. Well, I see we're getting signals that we've used up our time, but really appreciate your being here and enlightening the world about the daffodils.
Well,
Great.
thank you for having me. And anytime anybody's interested, the Bartlett's is doing a great job, and also come out to the show.
Great.
Saturday and Sunday, Saturday afternoon, and all day Sunday of the Daffodil Festival weekend.
Oh, great, great. Well, thank you very much.
You're welcome.